Now, once you have gone through your document and you've made all the edits that you wanted to, either directly or using the story editor, and now you can utilize another great tool here in InDesign called the spell checker. And if you're like me, it's a great tool. I've never been fancy on the spelling bee, so spelling is not one of my fortes, and perhaps it's because I become a little too reliant on software these days to check the spelling for me, but nonetheless, it's very important to do so. So what I've done is I went ahead and created a new document and just posted some text into there with some spelling issues. So what I want to do is I can either hit Control I on my keyboard to bring up the check spelling, or go up to the edit menu, spelling, check spelling. But the moment that I select it or bring it up, InDesign is going to put it to use. So here it shows me that there's an improper S, but actually I know that this is proper because it's with an asterisk highlighting more than one agreement. So I'm going to go ahead and click skip. Here is another one that shows me that operates is misspelled and gives me one spelling suggestion. So the reason why it is actually giving me an error is because there's a period after the ink in CB Richard Ellis. So actually what I want to do, even though I've went back and selected that I wanted to use that suggestion, I'm going to go ahead and tell it that I want to leave it as an O. So I'll go ahead and skip it. And then it will come down. Again, another instance of CB Richard Ellis ink, and it's telling me after that. So it's basically any time that there's a period suggesting that the word following it should be capitalized, but in this case, I'm going to go ahead and skip it. So here is another interesting one. Take the word trammel, for instance, spelled with two L's, and InDesign does not recognize that as a standard English word. So we can do a number of things. We can add this to our dictionary, or tell InDesign to just skip it altogether, that it's not a word, or not English, for an example. Maybe it's Spanish, but for this sense, the best thing to probably do is to add it to our user dictionary so that InDesign, next time it comes across trammel, will recognize that as an English word. Now here's another issue where if I zoom into this, and I'm going to use Control and the plus sign on my keyboard just to zoom in so you kind of see where this area is, there's actually a period behind property. So if I come in and delete that, so the actual error was a period, not so much as, which in this case it wants something capitalized after the word ink. Now here's another one, benefits. So if I want to take the spelling suggestion of that, and I'll change all just in case. And then if I choose change all, InDesign's going to tell me how many replacements were made. In this case, only one. Offer error. Well, we're using some pretty sophisticated language in this particular document because it's a legal document, so I can ignore all of those. Ignore all of those. How about operates? It's coming back to that. I'm going to go ahead and skip that. Skip that. So it's basically repeating until I double check it twice and say, no, everything's okay. And I know it's done when it gives me this little checkbox. And then I can click done. Now, another thing that I want to point out with the spell checker here is that we have some more options. Here we can turn on dynamic spelling, and dynamic spelling is great because it will check the spelling in real time. So as you are clicking, let's say if you make a typo, it will underline that word. Here's autocorrect, which you can choose to use or not. Here's the problem I have with autocorrect. Is that if you use a word, let's say like trammel, where it thought that it should be spelled with one L, It may correct that spelling without you knowing it as you're typing along. And I personally have this problem all the time with the iPhone myself. So I choose to try to not to use autocorrect, but it's really a personal preference. You can choose to use it. And then, of course, we have the dictionary. So if we launch the dictionary, we can see what words we've added to the dictionary itself.